Good morning. Hi everyone. It is a Saturday morning, a very snowy Saturday morning. Jim and I were out working on the outside of the greenhouse on the roll-up sides when the snow hit and my hair caught the frizzies. So we came in and decided to do some other things instead. And so today we are going to work on meals in bags. I have a beef and barley soup that is a meal in a bag. So let's open this up and see what's in the bag. Here is the dry soup mix for the barley soup, a pint of beef chunks, and a can of tomato paste. Now you could actually replace this if you have a pint of tomatoes. You could also replace that, but we'll talk about that as we go. So what we're going to do is put together the ingredients for these meals in bags, and that will go to self-reliance and especially food security. It is great to have as emergency preparedness to just pull one of these off the shelf, go to our off-grid kitchen if necessary, and then we can fix a nice pot of soup that will probably do a couple of meals. So we'll get started in just a moment. We're going to put 3 together today, and then we're going to go ahead and cook this one up so that you can see what it looks like and know what the process is. This one will require you to have a couple of things on hand, like olive oil and Worcestershire sauce and soy sauce and maybe some fresh parsley growing in your herb garden, but nevertheless it is still very doable with those condiments that we have in our stores. So we will start with 3/4 of a cup of barley in the bottom of each of these pint jars. And this is pearl barley. Makes really wonderful soup. So that's the foundation for our soup, is this barley. Next we're going to be putting in the spices. So we're going to be putting in a ½ teaspoon of thyme, of minced garlic, and of rosemary leaves. And I'm just going to put those right on top of the barley. Oh, this rosemary smells so good. Next, we're going to put our very familiar trio together, carrots, onions, and celery, and we're going to be putting them in a separate baggie to push down into the jar like we've done right here, because we deal with them separately when we cook up the soup. So carrots, onion, and this is the celery that we did 2 or 3 months ago that we put. This is dehydrated celery, and we put a little bit of baking soda in the water to keep it green, and look how beautiful green that is. So it continues to work. Getting as much air out as possible. And we're going to stuff that right down in the jar. And then to that, we are going to add 2 of these bouillon cubes. These are the larger size. You need enough for 4 cups of broth. And that's all there is to it. We now have our dry mix of the barley part of the barley beef soup. So I am using previously used lids because I'm going to vacuum seal those, and then I will just put the ring on. I'm going to put it just on loosely because I will be vacuum sealing these. So that's all there is to it. I'm going to finish these two off camera. When we come back, we're going to cook this up so that you can see how it goes. All of these ready to go in the bags in a little row here with their tomato paste ready to go. So we'll start that in a while. First of all, what we need to do is get started with the one that we are going to do right now. And this is just one of them. I'm taking the bouillon cubes out, and I'm going to pull out the veggies, carrots, celery, onions. I'm going to empty them into this bowl, and I'm going to rehydrate. I'm going to put 2 cups of water in. It won't take 2 cups, but these veggies will lend their flavors to this water, and then we will use the water as part of reconstituting the bouillon cubes. So we're just going to let that sit for a few minutes and rehydrate. Now, one more thing about these too. The shelf life on this, I always get asked this question: what is the shelf life of this? This will not last for 20 years. This is not a long-term storage meal. This is to be used probably within about a year, 2 years at the most. Then the individual ingredients in the soup, these will last for a long time. We have our dehydrated vegetables and a grain at the bottom. So these will be good at least for a year to 2 years, and they will be vacuum sealed. If you give this as a gift, you should probably add a little note, best used by, and then put the date no later than just a year. All right, so right now I'm out of extra bags. I need to go searching through our supplies out in the garage to get the other 2 bags, but we'll do this later. Okay, let's take a look at our veggies. They're not quite there, almost. So we're going to be using our off-grid Martin butane stove. I love this little stove. This has been one of the best buys we have ever made. When we bought this, it was $24. They're up now to about $36. Some are even a little bit fancier for about $70. But for quite a low price, considering everything else these days, this is a very economical way to have an off-grid cooking situation. So when we cook with it in our kitchen, we keep the back door open about this much. It's a sliding glass door, and we do have this carbon monoxide alarm that will alert us if there's too much carbon monoxide, which it has never gone off since we have used it. Of course, we have this great big open area as well. This recipe also calls for you to have 3 other ingredients on hand. If you happen to have these as powders, that is just great. I don't, so I just plan on keeping a supply of these on hand. So this is Worcestershire sauce and soy sauce, and then we need a little bit of olive oil. And these are all things that we keep in our food storage. Someone else suggested when we did one of these meals in a bag before that required soy sauce, the little tiny packets that you get in Chinese restaurants, those would be perfect to slip into these meals in bags. So what we need to do first then with one of these extra ingredients, and I've listed these as being things that you also need to have on hand, is we need to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan because we are going to saute the vegetables. So I am going to turn this on. I'm just going to drain the vegetables into an extra jar. Now, do you see how the veggies have flavored this water? So that's great. And we have almost our 2 cups. Oh, this one doesn't have measurements on it. We have almost 2 cups there. The oil is now smoking, so we're going to just toss these veggies in. A few more right here. going to saute them until they get just a little bit golden. Doing it this way, it's separate from just dumping everything in, adds a little bit more flavor. By sauteing these vegetables, it gives them just a little bit of a roasted vegetable flavor that lends that flavor right to the soup. The next thing we need to do is we need to add 3 tablespoons of this tomato paste. Which is not a full can. So when you do make this soup, you can plan on putting that in your refrigerator and using it for something else. And then I'm going to add enough water to this vegetable water to equal a full quart, 4 cups. And I'm going to add just a little bit first. Enough so that I can mix that tomato paste around so that it is easier to dissolve into the rest of that water. And then we're going to dump in all the rest. We are also going to dump in the complete contents that are left in our jar. So this will be the barley and also the 3 spices, the garlic and the thyme and rosemary. They go in all in one fell swoop. And then to enhance the flavor a little bit more, we want to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and 1 of Worcestershire sauce. Stir it in. It's a beautiful color. This will now need to simmer until the barley is done. Just before the barley is done, we will come back and we will add the beef and its liquid. So take into account that you're going to be adding a little bit more liquid. The soup will thicken up, and when you add the beef, it will thin it down a little bit more, and then if necessary, you can add a little bit more water to keep it at the right consistency for soup. So we're going to put the lid on this and turn it down. This will take probably 40-45 minutes. And we will be back when we are ready to add the beef. Take a look at how gorgeous this is. Oh my goodness. Jim and I just took a sneak taste and we both love this. It is such a hearty soup, perfect for a snowy day like today, and it will be very filling. Now it is time for us to go ahead and open up the beef and get the beef in. You notice what I have on the top of the beef is the wrappers for the 2 bouillon cubes. Some of you may have noticed that I neglected to put those in at first. Well, I caught that just almost as soon as the camera was off, and we were able to put those in. So let's put the beef in. This is quite thick, so it's not going to matter at all that I'm going to add the liquid in here as well. So there's the liquid and the beef chunks, a little bit of fat. That's always going to happen when you can beef. So there we have it. We're going to let that simmer just a little bit until the beef is heated through. You could also use this as a vegetarian, just as a vegetarian meal without putting the beef in, of course, because everything else is plant-based. Now, it is supposed to be garnished with some fresh parsley. We don't have any of that today. I do have some dried parsley, which I could use. I really don't think it needs it. But the good news is that I have parsley seeds started over in my herb garden. They have not germinated yet. It's been almost a week. It takes up to 21 days for them to germinate. So I will be so delighted to have parsley over there so I can do fresh parsley when it comes to things like this. So we're going to heat this up, dish up a little bit for lunch, and enjoy. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, that it has given you some ideas, some substitutions here. Again, if you wanted to make a larger batch, you could skip the tomato paste and put in a pint of crushed tomatoes, and that would extend it a little bit as well. So there are lots of variations that you could do with this soup to make it outstanding, as well as the original recipe. I will put the recipe below the video description, so you will have it. Thank you for being with us with this video, Meals in Bags for barley and beef soup, and we will see you at our next video.